Bloxburg has a lot of outdated pre-built houses, so let's fix that. So I did a poll on Twitter asking on what pre-built house should I revamp or fix. The small suburban house won, so let's do that. So about this house, it was released in update 0.5.9 or 2017, which is before I even joined this game. It can be bought for 85,000, although the actual price is 57,410. Its appearance is inspired by American suburban houses, more specifically ones from the 1920s to 1960s. Think like those traditional suburban houses. It features two bedrooms, one bathroom, a kitchen and dining area, a living room, a one-car garage, and also a backyard grill area. Being released in 2017, it is very outdated. So we have a lot of things we can improve with this house. So to improve this house, we have some objectives. First, we will improve the house layout and we'll improve the overall look of the house, but I'd want to still keep the vibe of it being a old house that is in need of a renovation. This is basically making the house much more updated to the current Bloxburg compared to 2016 or 2017. And actually, finally, I think this is the most important part. We'll make it actually worth 85,000 since you can see it's worth 57,000, which is not really worth it if you're buying this plot. Some notes is that we will be using game passes. I might make another video on where I improve this house because as we are working on a budget, there's a lot of constraints which didn't allow me to do as much as I wanted. But we'll see. I have other builds planned this year, so I might not. So first, by improving the house, let's look at the current layout. So this is the current layout of the house. We will simplify it so it's much easier to read. So this is how the rooms are arranged. Do you see any problems? The layout itself is fine. It's good enough, but there's a lot of things we can improve upon. First of all, if you look at the house, it's too close to the sidewalk. It's 3 blocks from the sidewalk, which if you want to have a good view of the house, it's a bit too close to the sidewalk. I'd suggest at least 5 for it to be comfortable. Then this entryway also takes up too much space. You can see, essentially it's this 4x4 square. And if you look at it, it is the same size as the kitchen and almost the same size as the living area, which if it were up to me, I'd make it half as big. It's big enough. You can have a drop-off area for that. And this closet can be removed since it doesn't really have a use in this house. It's just a way to fill up space. And if it were me, I would make this the living area and now add a dining area to here. So the kitchen would be all by itself here, but the bedrooms and bathrooms would be moved. The hallways are also too long. If you're from the kitchen and going to the bathroom, that's like at least 10 blocks, which for me it's a bit too far. And you're going through the private spaces. So if you're a visitor, it's a bit like you're like invading somewhat their privacy. So it's something that you should consider. And look, it's also in an awkward spot. If you look at the original house, let's see the new plan. Anyway, if you look at the the old house, it's poking out weirdly. It shouldn't be the case. It looks like an afterthought. Imagine you built something, then you just, oh, I needed the bathroom. So you added a box outside and added the roof. That's what it looks to me. So I'd want it to be much more inside the house. Maybe like this. You see, it's much more inside. and it's not an awkward block. I'd also want to add a proper dining room and also a porch and a place to do laundry. So currently the front entrance is this, and there's a lot of problems to it. We'll also address it at the facade, but mainly if you look at the front, there's no path towards the door, and also there's not really anything that highlights the front door. If anything, you're much more likely to look at the garage door since one, the garage door is bigger, and number two, this path stands out compared to the concrete for the front deck or patio thing. So now let's rearrange the plan. I actually already rearranged it. So here's the new plan. If you can tell, there's a lot of changes. First of all, I set it back 5 blocks. That's what I said. It's the minimum I'd recommend. Then the social and private spaces essentially switched. If you look, this is the social spaces and this is the private spaces. I mainly did this so the kitchen is close to the garage, which these are both workspaces. You do a lot of activities in the garage and the kitchen. In the perfect plan, I'd also put the utilities close to it, like the laundry. But I didn't want to add a separate utility area because it would make the house too big. And I don't know if we have enough budget to do that. So I only added a laundry closet for this part. There's also a new dining area. And the living room is now at the center. So it's like the main meeting point from the porch. If you go from the porch, you go here to the kitchen, somewhat dining. They're kind of connected, but there would be a wall between them. Or like the kitchen between them, which is still fine. There's also back access from a bedroom, then both the dining room and the living room to the back deck. The bedrooms, let's look at the bedrooms. They also changed sizes. This one is much bigger and this one is smaller. So obviously this would be where the double bed is and this would be the single bed. Then they have their own closet. This one has a bigger one since it's a bigger bedroom and there's 2 people. So if you think about it, it's double the closet space for double the people. Then finally, the hallway is now smaller with its own laundry closet and the random closet. Actually, this space is just a filler. I didn't know what to do. Maybe you could think if you built this house on your own. Then also this bathroom is now much closer and it still pokes out, but not as much as before. And now it's closer to the living spaces. So now that we have a new plan, which I can say is an improvement from before, let's put the furniture and walls. So on this part, I am just testing out the layout, if it works. There's some changes I did from this footage that I fixed on what I showed you before. But essentially, I'm placing down the walls and the floors for the room and also the doors and windows. Especially in houses, it's important to have a window in each room. Also, I'm testing out the roof on this part since I need to know if my wall placements will produce a good roof. And I think that's it. Then after this, we'll be moving down the furniture from the old house to this version and see the layout of the furniture. So the next part is moving the furniture to this house compared to before where you thought about how the rooms would be arranged. This is now in a smaller scale where you'll think about how the furniture is arranged. So this is more about thinking what furnitures to put, and if there's space or there is enough space to move around the furniture. So this is pretty simple for me. I'm used to it. I've been building for a while. But if you're a beginner, it's best to use or to look at different photos online. Using references, don't be scared to use references. It's a lot helpful. You can copy, but you can also just take in what you like about those pictures and implement it to your own design. For this house, I'm just moving down the furniture. There's a lot of weird things I've noticed in this house. First of all, there's a clock in every room, and also there's two there's two I forgot what it's called. There's two standing racks. I forgot. Hat racks. Those things in the house, like two different styles. I don't know why they have that, but I think it's just to fill in the closet. There's just like a weird thing about these houses. There's like also a painting stand in the closets, which I removed in the end. So for this, there's not really any changes to the exterior. The most different thing is that there's two more, what do you call? There's two arches that represent the porch, which we'll fix in the next part. So now we have this house. It's still ugly. It's still the same as before if you think about it. But now we're gonna change it up. So there's like I wanted this build to have like an ordered way of fixing it, but the way I built it, it's somewhat sporadic, but there's still an order to it. So I first started with the exterior, the most important part, which is the porch, since this is the main focal point of the house. So I first did the porch, added wall trims, changed the doorways, and also elevated it up with the roof and added railings to it so it's much more separated from the ground. I also added paths. I don't know if I showed that. I'm saying this while looking at my character. After that, looks. I'm really cut how I edited it. After that, I decided on the doors and windows. This is not the order on how I built it, but this is how I'll show you. So next is the doors and windows. Before I finished, like as I was building this, I actually first started on a custom window, but in the end I didn't like it because it didn't fit well with the house, and seeing like the budget, like the money as I'm building, I'm going over budget, which is not worth it for custom windows since you really only look through the windows, so it's not a big deal. I'd rather put those budget in something else, like the landscaping or other things. But for this house, I settled in with the cheapest windows and just resized them. I actually like those windows. And for the wider ones, I added beams so there's divisions in the window, so it's not too wide. And also, it took a while to decide the front door, but I decided on the modern panel door, which I also decided for the interior. But for the interior, I actually first chose a custom, like with quotation marks, door that used fence gates instead. I like those doors because they're smaller, which fits better in a one by or like in a one wide wall. After the doors is the roof. The roof's pretty simple actually. I only layered two roofs. It's a common trick to add more detail. So one is like the eaves or the roof trim. Then other is the roof itself where the shingles would be. Then since There's texture fighting. I also put beams to clean it up. And then finally, I added the vents in the roof just for more detail. Actually, I don't know if they're actually vents, but it looked close enough. So, yeah. Next part, landscaping. Actually, this landscaping is pretty simple. Landscaping is an easy way to improve your house. Like if you're looking at your house and you're thinking this house doesn't look right, maybe try adding landscaping. If you don't, it helps ground your house to the surroundings. So for this house, the landscaping's pretty simple. I first used the flower bushes but changed it at the end just to keep up with the budget. But if you have the budget, use better bushes. Actually, if it were up to me, like if this didn't have a budget, I'd be using decal plants. But I know those are really expensive and not a lot if you have the same amount of money. I do because I build and work a lot in this game. But other things I did, this pathway I changed. Not because I didn't like it, but because of budget. But also for the plants, it's pretty simple. I just used the cheaper plants and some flowers. I needed to get used to using flowers in builds because for a few years they decay and you had to water them. Another thing is that I used paths for the planters mainly because it's cheap and it's an easy way to have the rounded rounded edges for the planters compared to using just floors. After that is the interior. For the interior, I started with the dining room. I don't know why, just felt like it. So for the interior, personally, from my experience, the first room you do is the longest, which is why if you will look at the speed build this had, it took a long time doing the dining room because it's where you'll decide mainly the general aesthetic or style of the house. I decided on whether going for a darker or lighter theme. In the end, I went with a lighter theme because having it have windows makes it so bright that I wanted it to be highlighted. So I used lighter colors and also I used custom colors in this build, but anyway. And also I changed the furniture just so that it looks much newer and better than before. Next part is the kitchen. Actually, one of my favorite parts in this house. For the layout, it pretty much stayed the same. I added upper cabinets, which was fun. And the other thing was adding this custom mug rack that I wanted to keep from the old house, but I wanted it to be different from the old house. So I did this. So I did this rack thing. What's this part? So now here's me adding the doors that I said before. I changed the doors from the expensive one before. Next is the garage. The garage essentially stayed the same. I just made it the same finish as the exterior, but the walls would be still concrete because I like the concrete walls. Also, I forgot all the rooms and the exterior had wall trim. Now I'm going with the living room. The living room and bedrooms are essentially like the same furniture. For the living room, I just updated the furniture. It's still the simple ones, but I used the newer simple ones like the sectionals and the reclining chairs. For the tables, I used newer ones. It's still old because the log ones, I think 2018 from that year. I'm not sure, but yeah. Next is the bathroom, which I had fun doing this bathroom. But at first I did like a custom vanity, but I changed it back because on hindsight it was so expensive. But if you wanted to do that, you could still keep it. It would be in the speed build if you saw, but it used the new commercial sinks since it's just the countertop, which allowed for a custom cabinetry below. which is a really fun feature. Hope more people use it. So here's me putting the new shower, just updating the furniture, putting the new shower, putting a double vanity because a lot of people use this space, and also just changing the mirrors. The old vanity is just eh. I don't like I don't like wide mirrors. I'd rather have them separate. So now I also put stuff in the closet. The closet's still a bit bare. And now the bedrooms, which essentially stayed the same, only changed the colors and maybe changed some furniture, but not all. So that's about it. So this is the final house. I'm actually happy with how it turned out. Here's it compared to before. I think it's a big improvement. I'm really happy with how it turned out. First of all, you actually notice the front door. Actually, like this suggestion, I actually thought about doing it, but I definitely did it when Lucas told me to, so thanks to him. I like how the front door stands out compared to this one where it's really competing with the garage door. And now this, you're actually led towards the front door. Another thing I like this house is the new landscaping. It's still pretty simple, but compared to before, it looked really dead. Now there's some plants that helps ground this house. Next is the roof. You can see it's a lot more detailed. And I changed the texture to be shingles just to add more interest. Also with this roof texture compared to before. You see. Also the windows. You can actually use the old windows. I just prefer these ones since there's a lot less panels and it looks cleaner for me. So here it is from the top. You can see it's still pretty similar. What's different, like the biggest difference from this house is the back. Can add more if you have more budget, but we had 85K, so this is the best I could do. So let's go inside. So now entering, we have a drop-off area. You can get here and get ready. There was a dresser here, but it was too bulky. You can add one if you want, but this is just like the basics. Next is the garage. Let's go here first. Actually, I really like this garage. The concrete wall goes nicely in this room with the floor. I used the new texture as the concrete. It looks a bit like pebble, which I like. There's the door and the shelves, still the same as the old one. New garage door. So you can park your car from outside. Really like that. Now let's go to the living room. The living room's almost the same as before. You can see. I like it. Also, I really like this wall texture. This is snow. It's a new texture from, I think, the recent update. I really like how it looks since it looks dirty but not too noisy compared to concrete because you can see the dots. It's very distracting for me. But this one, it's much smoother. So you can notice it, but it doesn't compete with the other things in the room. Also, I changed the floor. It fits much more the old style, like the laminate flooring. Next is the kitchen. The kitchen's really nice. I really like that I put this shelf here since this is not in a standard grid, like it's moved to the side a bit. Adding this makes it fills up this space and makes it actually functional because you can put stuff on this shelf, maybe small stuff, but you can still put stuff. And the mug display, there's less mugs than before. You can add more if you want, but I spent a lot of money for this display, which in hindsight may not be worth it, but I really wanted to put one in because it's really cute. Like, won't you do this? Like, it's so cute. Next, which is new to the house, is the dining room. I actually really like this room. It's so bright, like the sun. There's the sun out there. It really um, illuminates the space really well, and there's a door to the backyard. I would have chosen a different door, but there's no glass door that's this thin, which is something I want them add to this game, like more glass doors. And glass doors you can put beams on. What else? Let's go to the bathroom. Probably one of my favorite rooms. It's really nice. It's pretty much the same as the old one. No, it's not. I lied. It's a lot different from the old one. I used the new shower tub. The old one didn't have a shower, so I added one. Then also the toilet and the vanity. I added 2 sinks compared to before, which is one. As I remember, it's one. Changed the mirrors and also added this green for the walls. I was deciding on putting flint, but I decided to make it much more greener because flint looks a bit dead. Since this house is fairly neutral, I wanted to add more color to it. This is the laundry closet. Pretty basic. I just added one, so it has one. You can probably improve it, but I'm working on the budget here. Don't complain. This is a closet. You can maybe make this the laundry closet if you wanted and have this as like something else. But this is just an example, and I wanted this house to not be perfect, but still be better than before. This is the bedroom. I like the bedrooms on these houses. It's pretty simple. It has its closet, empty closet. That's the alarm clocks. Why they do that? Anyway. Next is the other bedroom, the last room. I like this bedroom. It's giving army vibe because of the wall. But you can change the colors if you didn't like this green. Also has its own closet. And that's pretty much it. Last room maybe is this backyard. It's really nice. So that's about it for this house. If you really like this house, I might post a speed build. I mean, I will post a speed build, but I don't know when. Probably on Wednesday. I plan posting speed builds on Wednesday, then like other builds on weekends. I'm also trying out I'm also trying out different editing styles. Like I'm looking for something that will stick, that's easy for me, but also I like how it looks. For this video, I'm not sure. I don't really like the format of it all. I might change it on the future videos, but I really need to upload. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. If you want, you can try revamping older houses like other pre-builts, or you can even try renovating this house to your own style. For this house, I wanted to keep it the same style as this. But if it were me, like I were renovating this house, I'd approach it a lot differently. So, yeah. Goodbye.